super good. We'd whistle. So, howdy, everyone.
Hey.
Welcome to the Word, Praise and Wisdom number 54.
Ooh.
Howdy, Dee. Howdy, Lynn. Howdy, Matayahu. Yeah. All right. So I pinned a comment up at the top of the chat on YouTube. If you want to read along and follow the bouncing ball, you can do that. It is a link to this website, to the chapter we are starting on, and it's already converted. Should be already converted from strange King James English to modern, ununderstandable King James English.
It's like King James is not the easiest to read.
We are starting in Ecclesiasticus chapter 36, going through 37, 38, 39, and 40. 40 in Ireland. Okay. So, anything else happening?
We're all here.
Okay, let's go ahead and pray in then. Father, thank you very much for bringing us together to fellowship and to do this communion of fellowship in the name of your Son. We're very grateful. We would just ask for your blessing to pour out your spirit of understanding and knowledge, discernment of what we read today and how it applies to us. We thank you for that. We would ask your covering for people that are traveling and people that are having to break the rest today, so that, whatever it is, whatever that situation is. And we just thank you for that. And thank you for this day of rest. We love you in Jesus Yeshua's name. Amen. Okay. What was that? Oh, yeah. It was this right there. Let's go. Ecclesiasticus chapter 36. Have mercy upon us, O Lord of all, and behold us, and send thy fear upon all the nations that seek not after thee. Lift up thy hand against the strange nations, and let them see thy power. As thou wast sanctified in us before them, so be thou magnified among them before us. And let them know thee, as we have known thee, that there is no God but only thou, O God. Show new signs, and make other strange wonders. Glorify thy hand and thy right arm, that they may set forth thy wondrous works. Raise up indignation and pour out wrath. Take away the adversary and destroy the enemy. Sake the time short. Remember the covenant, and let them declare thy wonderful works. Let him that escapeth be consumed by the rage of the fire, and let them perish that oppress the people. Smite in sunder the heads of the rulers of the heathen, that say, there is none other but we. Gather all the tribes of Jacob together, and inherit thou them as from the beginning. O Lord, have mercy upon the people that is called by thy name, and upon Israel, whom thou hast named thy firstborn. O be merciful unto Jerusalem, thy holy city, the place of thy rest. Fill Sion with thine unspeakable oracles, and thy people with thy glory. Give testimony unto those that thou hast possessed from the beginning, and raise up prophets that have been in thy name. Reward them that wait for thee, and let thy prophets be found faithful. O Lord, hear the prayer of thy servants, according to the blessing of Aaron over thy people, that all they which dwell upon the earth may know that thou art the Lord, the eternal God. The belly devoureth all meats, and yet is one meat better than another. As the palate tasteth divers kinds of venison, so doth an heart of understanding false speeches. A froward heart causeth heaviness, but a man of experience will recompense him. A woman will receive every man, yet is one daughter better than another. The beauty of a woman cheereth the countenance, and a man loveth nothing better. If there be kindness, meekness, and comfort in her tongue, then is not her husband like other men? He that getteth a wife beginneth a possession, a help like unto himself, and a pillar of rest. Where no hedge is, there the possession is spoiled. And he that hath no wife will wander up and down mourning. Who will trust a thief well appointed, that skippeth from city to city? So who will believe a man that hath no house, and lodgeth wheresoever the night taketh him?
Chapter 37. Every friend saith that I am his friend also, but there is a friend which is only a friend in name. It is not a grief unto death when a companion and a friend is turned into an enemy. Is it not a grief unto death when a companion and a friend is turned into an enemy? O wicked imagination, whence camest thou in to cover the earth with deceit? There is a companion which rejoiceth in the prosperity of a friend, but in the time of trouble will be against him. There is a companion which helpeth his friend for the belly, and taketh up the buckler against the enemy. Forget not thy friend in thy mind, and be not unmindful of him in thy riches. Every counselor extolleth counsel, but there is some that counseleth for himself. Beware of a counselor, and know before what need he hath, for he will counsel for himself, lest he cast the lot upon thee, and say unto thee, Thy way is good, and afterward he stand on the other side to see what shall befall thee. Consult not with one that suspecteth thee, and hide thy counsel from such as envy thee. Neither consult with a woman touching her of whom she is jealous, neither with a coward in matters of war, nor with a merchant concerning exchange, nor with a buyer of selling, nor with an envious man of thankfulness, nor with an unmerciful man touching kindness, nor with the slothful for any work, nor with an hireling for a year of finishing work, nor with an idle servant of much business. Hearken not unto these in any matter of counsel, but be continually with godly man, whom thou knowest to keep the commandments of the Lord, whose mind is according to thy mind, and will sorrow with thee if thou shalt miscarry. And let the counsel of thine own heart stand, for there is no man more faithful unto thee than it. For a man's mind is sometimes wont to tell him more than 7 watchmen that sit above in an high tower. And above all this pray to the Most High, that he will direct thy way in truth. Let reason go before every enterprise, and counsel before every action. The countenance is as a sign of changing the heart. 4 manners of things appear good and evil, life and death, but the tongue ruleth over them continually. There is one that is wise and teacheth many, and yet is unprofitable to himself. There is one that showeth wisdom in words, and is hated. He shall be destitute of all food. For grace is not given him from the Lord, because he is deprived of all wisdom. Another is wise to himself, and the fruits of understanding are commendable in his mouth. A wise man instructeth his people, and the fruits of his understanding fail not. A wise man shall be filled with blessing, and all they that see him shall count him happy. The days of the life of man may be numbered, but the days of Israel are innumerable. A wise man shall inherit glory among his people, and his name shall be perpetual. My son, prove thy soul in thy life, and see what is evil for it, and give not that unto it. For all things are not profitable for all men, neither hath every soul pleasure in everything. Be not unsatiable in any dainty thing, nor too greedy upon meats. For excess of meats bringeth sickness, and surfeiting will turn into choler. By surfeiting may have many perished, but he that taketh heed prolongeth his life.
"37. Every friend saith, I am his friend also, but there is a friend which is only a friend in name. Is it not a grief unto death when a companion or friend turneth into an
38.
enemy?" Sorry about that. I just realized that was in the wrong place. "Honor a physician with honor due unto him for the uses which ye may have of him, for the Lord hath created him. For of the Most High cometh healing, and he shall receive honor of the king. The skill of the physician shall lift up his head, and in the sight of great men he shall be in admiration. The Lord hath created medicines out of the earth, and he that is wise will not abhor them. Was not the water made sweet with wood, that the virtue thereof might be known? And he hath given men skill, that he might be honored in his marvelous works. With such doth he heal men, and taketh away their pains. Of such doth the apothecary make a confection, and of his works there is no end. And from him is peace over all the earth. My son, in thy sickness be not negligent, but pray unto the Lord, and he will make thee whole. Leave off from sin, and order thine hands aright, and cleanse thy heart from all wickedness. Give a sweet savor and a memorial of fine flour, and make a fat offering as not being. Then give place to the physician, for the Lord hath created him. Let him not go from thee, for thou hast need of him. There is a time when in their hands there is goodness. For thee shall also pray unto the Lord, that he would prosper thee, which I give for ease and remedy to prolong life. He that sinneth before his maker, let him fall into the hands of the physician. My son, let tears fall down over the dead, and begin to lament as if thou hast suffered great harm thyself, and then cover his body according to the custom, and neglect not his burial. Weep bitterly, and make great moan, and use lamentation, as he is worthy, and that a day or two lest thou be evil spoken of, and then comfort thyself for thy heaviness. For of heaviness cometh death, and the heaviness of the heart breaketh strength. In affliction also sorrow remaineth, and the life of the poor is the curse of heart. Take no heaviness to heart, drive it away, and remember the last end. Forget it not, for there is no turning again. Thou shalt not go do him good, but hurt thyself. Remember my judgment, for thine also shall be yesterday for me, and today for thee. When the dead is at rest, let his remembrance rest, and be comforted for him when his spirit is departed from him. The wisdom of the learned man cometh by opportunity of leisure, and he that hath little business shall become wise. How can he get wisdom that holdeth the plow, and that glorieth in the gold, driven oxen, and is occupied in their labors, and whose talk of bullocks? He giveth his mind to make furrows, and is diligent to give the kind fodder. So every carpenter and workmaster that laboreth night and day, and they that cut and grave seals, and are diligent to make great variety, and give themselves to counterfeit imagery, and watch to finish a work. The smith also, sitting by the anvil, and considering the iron work, the vapor of the water wasteth his flesh, and he fighteth with the heat of the furnace. The noise of the hammer and the anvil is ever in his ears, and his eyes look still upon the pattern of the thing that he maketh. He sitteth his mind to finish the work, and watcheth to polish it perfectly. So doth the potter, sitting at his work, and turning the wheel about his feet, who is always carefully set at his work, and maketh all of his work by number. He fashioneth the clay with his arm, and boweth down his strength before his feet. He applieth himself to lead it over, and he is diligent to make clean the furnace. All these trust to their hands, and every one is wise in his work. Without these cannot a city be inhabited, and they shall not dwell where they will, nor go up and down. They shall not be sought for in public council, nor sit high in the congregation. They shall not sit on the judge's seat, nor understand the sentence of judgment. They cannot declare justice and judgment, and they shall not be found where parables are spoken. But they will maintain the state of the world, and all their desires is the work of their craft.
39. But he that gives his mind to the Torah of El Elyon, and is occupied in the meditation thereof, will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient, and be occupied in prophecies. He will guard the sayings of renowned men, and where subtle parables are, he will be there also. He will seek out the secrets of grave sentences, and be conservant in dark parables. He shall serve among great men, and appear before princes. He will travel through strange countries, for he has tried the good and the evil among men. He will give his heart to resort early to Yahuwah that made him, and he will pray before El Elyon, and will open his mouth in prayer, and make supplication for his sins. When the great Yahuwah will, he shall be filled with the ruach of understanding. He shall pour out the wise sentences, and give thanks unto Yahuwah in his prayer. He shall direct his counsel in knowledge, and in his secrets shall he meditate. He shall show forth that which he has learned, and shall glory in the Torah of the covenant of Yahuwah. Many shall command his understanding, and so long as the world endures, it shall not be blotted out. His memorial shall depart away, and his name shall live from generation to generation. Nations shall show forth his wisdom, and the assembly shall declare his praise. If he die, he shall leave a greater name than 1,000, and if he live, he shall increase it. Yet have I more to say, which I have thought upon, for I am filled as the moon at the full. Hearken unto me, ye holy children, and bud forth as a rose growing by the brook of the field, and give ye a sweet savor as frankincense, and flourish as a lily. Send forth a smell, and sing a song of praise, and bless Yahuwah in all his works. Magnify his name, and show forth his praise with the songs of your lips, and with the harps. And in praising him, you shall say after this manner, all the works of Yahuwah are exceedingly good, and whatsoever he commands shall be accomplished in due season. And none may say, what is this? Wherefore is that? For at time convenient they shall all be sought out. At his commandment the waters stood as a heap, and at the words of his mouth the receptacles of waters. At his commandment is done whatsoever pleases him, and none can hinder when he will save. The works of all flesh are before him, and nothing can be hid from his eyes. He sees from everlasting to everlasting, and there is nothing wonderful before him. A man need not to say, what is this? Wherefore is that? For he has made all things for their uses. His blessings covered the dry land as a river, and watered it as a flood. As he has turned the waters into saltness, so shall the heathen inherit his wrath. As his ways are plain unto the holy, so are the stumbling blocks unto the wicked. For the good are good things created from the beginning, so evil things for sinners. The principal things for the whole use of man's life are water, fire, iron, salt, flour of wheat, honey, milk, and the blood of the grape, and oil, and clothing. All these things are for good to the righteous, so to the sinners they are turned into evil. There be ruach that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of the destruction they pour out their force, and appease the wrath of him that made them. Fire and hail, and famine and death, all these were created for vengeance. Teeth of the wild beast, and scorpions, serpents, and the sword, punishing the wicked to destruction. They shall rejoice in his commandment, and they shall be ready upon earth when need is. And when their time is come, they shall not transgress his word. Therefore from the beginning I was resolved, and thought upon these things, and have left them in writing. All the works of Yahuwah are good, and he will give every needful thing in due season, so that a man cannot say, this is worse than that, for in time they shall all be well approved. And therefore praise ye Yahuwah with the whole heart and mouth, and bless the name of Yahuwah.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 40. Great travail is created for every man, and an heavy yoke is upon the sons of Adam, from the day that they go out of their mother's womb till the day that they return to the mother of all things. Their imagination of things to come, and the day of death, trouble their thoughts, and cause fear of heart. From him that sitteth on a throne of glory, unto him that is humbled in earth and ashes. From him that weareth purple and a crown, unto him that is clothed with a linen frock. Wrath and envy, trouble and unquietness, fear of death and anger and strife. And in the time of rest upon his bed, his night sleep, do change his knowledge. A little or nothing is his rest, and afterward he is in his sleep, as in a day of keeping watch, troubled in the vision of his heart, as if he were escaped out of a battle. When all is safe, he awaketh, and marveleth that the fear was nothing. Such things happen unto all flesh, both man and beast, and that is sevenfold more upon sinners. Death and bloodshed, strife and sword, calamities, famine, tribulation, and the scourge. These things are created for the wicked, and for their sakes came the flood. All things that are of the earth shall turn to the earth again, and that which is of the waters doth return into the sea. All bribery and injustice shall be blotted out, but true dealing shall endure forever. The goods of the unjust shall be dried up like a river, and shall vanish with noise, like a great thunder in rain. While he openeth his hand, he shall rejoice. So shall transgressors come to naught. The children of the ungodly shall not bring forth many branches, but are as unclean roots upon a hard rock. The weed growing upon every water and bank of a river shall be pulled up before all grass. Bountifulness is as a most fruitful garden, and mercifulness endureth forever. To labor and to be content with to labor and to be content with that a man hath is a sweet life, but he that findeth a treasure is above them both. Children and the building of a city continue a man's name, but a blameless wife is counted above them both. Wine and music rejoice the heart, but the love of wisdom is above them both. The pipe and the psaltery make sweet melody, but a pleasant tongue is above them both. Thine eye desireth favor and beauty, but more than both corn while it is green. A friend and companion never meet amiss, but above both is a wife with her husband. Brethren and help are against time of trouble, but alms shall deliver more than them both. Gold and silver make the foot stand sure, but counsel is esteemed above them both. Riches and strength lift up the heart, but the fear of the Lord is above them both. There is no want in the fear of the Lord, and it needeth not to seek help. The fear of the Lord is a fruitful garden, and covereth him above all glory. My son, lead not a beggar's life, for better it is to die than to beg. The life of him that dependeth on another man's table is not to be counted for a life, for he polluteth himself with other men's meat. But a wise man, well nurtured, will beware thereof. Begging is sweet in the mouth of the shameless, but in his belly there shall burn a fire. Well,
That's a deep subject.
that it is. Excuse me.
Matt, which version are you reading out of?
The Sefer.
Okay. It's just a tiny, I think between, we've got KJV online, and then I've got one that's Edgar Goodspeed, and then you've got that one. So they're all just a teensy bit different.
Yes, they are. So, back to chapter 36. That, chapter 36 of Ecclesiasticus, starts off with what? Mercy. Imagine that. Why would they take that out of the Bible?
There's several things in here. I'm like going, wow.
You know, they take that out of the Bible, even though we're told in the New Testament that Jesus Christ, the same yesterday, today, and forever. What do we have here? Mercy.
Mercy.
And lo and behold, what? Well, then they say, No, the God of the Old Testament was cruel and mean and hateful and punishing. Right here, mercy. Have mercy upon us. And then I can also see, I see a hand of people that, a movement of people that are named after a mountain, and they're called blankists. You can fill in that rest there. That they wouldn't want us to see this prayer to let the other nations come to know you.
Mm-hmm.
Just amazing. Very amazing. Yep, this is true. What in the world? There we go. Okay. My click cutter's going clickety. All right, what else do we have? 6, show new signs and make other strange wonders, glorify thy hand and thy right arm, that they who? These nations that haven't known you may set forth thy wondrous works. That is not what certain people making certain claims are saying today. They're saying, it's all ours. This is true. Word. Okay. Anything else jumping out at you?
Yeah, it was something that, unless somebody's got something else. This is not the only place that we run into this. It says, Israel is my firstborn. So, and then there's also places where it says, Yahusha is his firstborn. So they can't both be firstborn. So I'm thinking, it's just my thought, is the firstborn has been translated maybe
From something else.
From something else. Because that's their understanding of what that word means. And so then it gets translated. And I did a word study on this a while back, and I can't find it just 100%. But to me, it looks like most important, most valuable, or chief. It's the chief. Israel is the chief of the nations that are born.
Right. And that goes into what we were studying too, with the very beginning, talking about the original intent was for Israel to be the priestly nation and minister to all the other peoples.
Right. So if that's true, then it would make sense that they are the chief above all nations.
It would. And what verse was that?
12.
Oh, yes, there it is. Okay. Yep. And it's this prayer goes on to what, 17? Then we start back into the contrasts, the comparisons of things. And he's making this comparison about, how just as we can discern one food is better than another or is healthier than another, that's how we also understand false speech from people, right? Discernment, in other words. Okay, what else? Anybody?
22.
Okay.
So a woman's beauty gladdens one's countenance. And exceeds every desire a man's has. And I know that speaking personally for myself, we look in the mirror and we see external beauty. And as we age, it fades. But then what comes through internally is exceeding what the external is. So it goes over to what Paul says, her beauty isn't, a woman's beauty is not merely her adornments, braiding of the hair, the jewelry, all that. It is actually what is coming through from the inside. And as she ages and that gets greater than a man, that is more beautiful to her husband.
Yep. And it's that way with men as well, even though this is specifically addressing women.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because, well, you don't see any female writers in here, talking about, I finally got me the right man, he's everything God says he should be. And you don't see that here. So for us, it's like, I don't know. Could we like do opposites?
No, I wouldn't think, because I think 24 pretty much addresses what I think you're saying, right? He that gets a wife begins a possession, a help like himself, right? That's why we have to be like-minded and equally yoked, right? And a pillar of rest. Mind you, this is written back when roles of men and women were not questioned.
Mm-hmm.
And, there wasn't this international mantra of, you can be whatever you want to be. I'm going to be a giraffe. Okay. Anyways.
No, you're not.
Well, and it makes me think too, in my pondering and asking the Father for a husband, my position, my thought is incorrect. I'm asking him for a certain thing when I need to say, what do I need to become? What in me will make me be the helper that he's looking for? So it's a switch in focus of what would make me attractive to, or be a good helper, be a pillar of support to him. Am I nagging in his ear, or am I helping him do what he needs to be done? And if I'm doing that, then I'm helping him be who he needs to be.
Yep. And then 25.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. If you don't have a hedge up, your possession is spoiled. And that's the way no wife, right? He that has no wife will wander up and down mourning. Men were designed to have a helpmate, and women were designed to be the helpmate.
Mm-hmm.
How many men do you know that their longtime spouse dies and they don't do well?
Long-term what?
Their long-term wife dies.
No.
After they've been married a long time, they don't do well.
That happens a lot.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't have to be married for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, if they're getting the support and it's the type of marriage that it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my neighbor, they were married for I don't know how many years. And she died one night, and then like within 24 hours, he was gone too. He just couldn't bear to be on the earth without her.
Yeah. Well, just in the way that I can look at my mom and my stepdad. What my mom did for his home. One of the things that she did was he came from a place of chaos, and she created a place of calm and peace. Her house was spotless, and it was organized, and he just marveled at that, just praised her for that. Yes. And it just, but I mean, when she died, he was married within a year because of the support that she gave him. He couldn't do without it. He didn't want to be there without it.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go to 37.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Okay. In here we go back to advice on friends. That goes on for quite a few verses. But I think one is pretty big, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every friend says, I am his friend also, but there is a friend which is only a friend in name. You know, and then it goes through and it identifies bad friends versus good friends.
Your
I
friend
thought
Go ahead, Matt.
I thought number 2 is interesting. Is it not a grief unto death when a companion and a friend is turned to an enemy? That is so true.
It is true. Mm-hmm.
It is. Yeah, and it's interesting too. It gives this because it goes from friends into counselors
Mm-hmm.
and gives some warning on counselors, right?
Mhm.
Right.
That
Yeah. Don't be asking the people that for advice and stuff on things that they are not good at.
right. Well, I mean, yeah. You know, don't ask someone who is, you know, like accusatory to you. You don't ask them for advice,
Mm-hmm.
Or someone that envies you.
right? Yeah. And then, you know, neither consult with a woman touching her of whom she is jealous. Don't ask your wife, what do you think of Mrs. Hourglass next door? Or something along those lines, right?
Something like that.
What do you think of her? Isn't that nice?
Hmm Or
Look, she
I like
changed
how
your hair color. Sorry.
Right.
Sorry.
I like how it talks about neither with a coward in matters of war. So it's
Mhm.
basically, it makes a lot of sense. It makes me think of that verse we were talking about before, John, where, the fearful in the law, we're not supposed to go to war.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. It was the people that were newlyweds, people that had just built a house. And if you got someone fearful, don't take them into battle because it'll spread. You know, everyone likes to talk about the spiritual battles we're in all the time. You know, I fight spiritual warfare. Well, stop taking scared people with you. It'll end much faster. All right. Where are we? That was 11. You know, look at who it tells you to stay with, right? In 12. Be
Hang
continually
out with
a godly man, whom thou knowest to keep the commandments of the Lord, whose mind is according to thy mind, right?
Mhm.
Right? Be of the same mind, same spirit, and will sorrow with thee if thou shalt miscarry. I wonder what that word was. Miscarry.
I think it just means when things go badly.
Right. When you don't have success, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the true friend will be there for you when things are bad.
Right. Yep. Well, and then 14 is what Matt was talking about, but 15, and above all of this, above all this advice you're getting, pray to the Most High that He will direct your way in truth.
I put a
Right?
box around that one.
Everything else is secondary.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. Yep, I would agree with that, Tony. A stumble or dropping something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Let's see here. Okay, anything else jumping out?
I'm standing 28 and 30. If anybody else has anything.
25 jumped out at me reading this. The days of the life of man may be numbered, but the days of Israel are innumerable.
Mm-hmm.
In that just kind of brought to my mind this, where is it? I think it's Paul talks about the Israel of God, the true Israel, that's going to have that eternal life. But it is appointed man wants to die.
Mm-hmm.
And that something that's been making me think a lot. What about those that are here at his coming, right? Because he says, if the days weren't shortened, no flesh would be saved. So that flesh that's saved until the time of his coming, they're still appointed to die once, correct?
Well, maybe they die really quickly and then they're changed and they don't even realize it happened. Because it says, well, I'll be changed in a twinkling of an eye. So maybe it's just so quickly that, it's like a nothing burger.
Two thoughts on that. So I agree with both of you guys in that changing in the twinkling of an eye, the earthly body dies instantly. The flesh is gone. And is the idea that basically when we're born, we've died because we're dying, and we've died because we're in our sin nature.
Ooh. Ooh. Good one, Dee.
The thought.
That is a good thought.
Right? You can also add into that Paul talking about the corruptible must put on incorruptible.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Okay. Yeah. Okay, this is it. Surfeiting.
Thank you.
Oops,
What
I
is
went
that?
to the dictionary, not that book.
I can't even pronounce the word.
Right? Okay, so basically it's gluttony, an excessive amount of something,
Oh.
right? Or cause to desire no more of something as a result of having consumed or done it to excess. So basically,
What we're doing.
I'm never drinking again.
Oh, I did that once. And I didn't.
Just once?
I told myself I'm never having another hangover, and then I stopped drinking so much. I was like, nope, not having another one of those.
Yep.
I drank so much I threw up and passed out and didn't know where I was. And I'm like, okay, not ever doing that again. And I didn't.
More. Yeah.
I was like, nope, learn my lesson.
So 31, that ends it off, by surfeiting, many have perished, but he that taketh heed prolongs his life, not his wife. It would be nice to prolong your wife, I guess.
It depends.
Have balance and do things in moderation.
Well, and that's the thing. If you are blessed enough to be young and to understand moderation, you are off to such a good start. You do have no idea.
Yep.
This reminds me of the previous chapters too, where it's talking about food, where it's telling you if you ate too much, it's better to just go throw up to get a good night rest.
Yeah.
Well, it is. You're right. It's miserable.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I forgot about that. All right, let's go. 38.
I've got this one all marked up.
Okay.
This one was a big one for me.
Yeah, I found it starts off with a physician. That honor a physician with the honor due unto him for the uses which you may have of him. For the Lord has created him.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Now, my question is, in the West, can you find a physician worth worthy of giving honor.
I found one.
But they're not a conventional doctor, right? Or are they?
Well, she was, but not really. And now she teaches, but she all knows about like nutrition and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I have a thought on that. So in another place in here, it says apothecary, which essentially are your druggists. I was reading Jubilees last night. I forget which chapter it is. And it talks about it's when the evil Ruach cult, they're taking over, and Noah goes to the father and says, hey, they're destroying my children with illness and disease. I need you to help. And that's when 90% of the Ruach cults were bound, and the messengers come in and teach the healing with herbs and what the Father, herbs and plants of what the Father had given us to help us.
Talking about, and that's in Jubilees or Jasher?
Jubilees. It's like in the first, I don't know, chapter 13, 14, somewhere around in there. I forget exactly. It all ran together.
GR, you're here today. What chapter is it?
Yes, you would know. And that's, but I'm thinking that this physician is not as we view physicians
Right.
at this point in time.
Yeah,
I totally missed that in verse 8 where it talks about the apothecary.
Yeah. Now they may be two different offices. I don't know, but I'm thinking that what we view in Western culture, and this is another reason I think this was.
But look at this though, because everybody's heard me complain about this, right? Is people go to the doctor and get a diagnosis, and then they come back to their church and say, I need prayers because I have disease XY. And,
I have.
Okay, well, we'll pray that the doctor knows what they're doing. But here, it gives an order of operations, right? In thy sickness, be not negligent, starting in verse 9, but pray unto the Lord that he will make thee whole. Leave off from sin, and order thine hands aright, and cleanse thy heart from all wickedness, right? Give your sweet savor and a memorial of fine flour, make a fat offering, and then, after all that, praise and offerings to Yah, then give place to the physician. For the Lord hath created him. Let him not go from thee, for thou hast need of him. And this whole thing right here makes a ton more sense with King Asa, right? Remember, he had the disease in his feet. He went to the physicians first. So maybe here's another reason they took this out.
Yeah, it said he trusted the physicians.
Right. And sought not the Lord.
And I'm 100% guilty. I got myself in a big world of hurt for doing exactly this, or what you talked about, not doing it this way, but not getting sick, not feeling well. I went to the physicians. I have made more progress in my health since I've reversed it.
And the thing is, how much better do you feel once you seek Abba out?
100%. He's telling me exactly what's wrong. I don't have to go get tests.
Well, that's kind of what I do. I go get the tests, and then I talk to Ab about it, and I say, what do I do? And then he kind of guides me in things that I need to do. Even though they
And
don't
GR
seem
says
right.
it was chapter 7.
Thank you.
Chapter 7. Okay. But that's what I would do. But I would get the diagnosis, but then I wouldn't talk to Abba about it. I'd try to figure it out on my own. But if I talk to Abba about it before I try to figure it out on my own, then I don't have to, waste my time and money.
Okay, so check this out, though, right? 13 says, talking about the physician, there is a time when in their hands there is good success. For they shall also pray unto the Lord, right? So it's not saying go see a doctor that says, I'm God.
Right.
That that he would prosper that which they gave for ease and remedy to prolong life. And then in verse 15, he that sinneth before his maker, let him fall into the hand of the physician. What?
Oh my gosh, a whole bunch of things just ran through my head.
Yeah, that's like, I'm thinking everybody I know that have been through torture and torment and toil that have caused me to completely distrust modern medicine.
Well, I'm seeing it also as a overall, and myself included, if we're not following his ways, the first thing we're going to do is go to the physician.
Mm-hmm.
People that, man, I
know, man. Whoa,
and I'm guilty.
dude. No, I get it.
And so we see rampant disease, illnesses, and conditions that are not being cured because they're not under the Father's guidance.
The physicians are not under their guidance.
Right.
So, yep. Okay.
And they're not using what was provided on the earth for that kind of thing. So
look at this. This is something I see a lot of people that come to repentance try to do. And here it is, the commandment or a suggestion to do so, right? In verse 20, take no heaviness to heart, drive it away, and remember the last end, right? Forget it not, for there is no turning again. Thou shalt not do him good, but hurt thyself. Talking about if we're going to wallow in that, whatever's making us sad.
Mm-hmm.
It's not doing you any good.
Yeah, your pity party doesn't do anything but make things worse. Well, that's what it is, and nobody wants to come to your pity party.
Hey, I had a hat. Okay, anyways. Pity hat? No?
It reminds me of David. You know, David fasted and prayed for his child that was sick.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't eat anything, nothing. And then once the child was gone, he got up and washed himself and went and ate. And they were like, well, and he's like, the child's gone.
Mm-hmm.
But I think about this. We all mourn at different paces, but it really is difficult when you see somebody years and years and years later are not letting go of a pain from a loss like that. It's hurtful because they can't get on with their life.
So GR corrected herself. Chapter 10, verse 7. Or unless she's saying, okay, it's in chapter 10. 7 was the first encounter with demons.
Yeah. I knew I read it in there somewhere, but I wasn't paying attention to what chapter I was in.
Demons, not deacons. Okay.
Well, that's for another discussion.
Something just came to mind about this whole physician thing. And so what does that say about all these people right now that are taking the little stabby?
Stabby stab?
Mm-hmm.
Not for public broadcast.
Yeah, that's a whole different study series there. Okay. But starting at, I guess, about 24, and it goes through all these different workmen, all these different craftsmen or artisans or whatever you want to call them. Let's see here. And then in 32, it sums it up. Without these men, without these people doing these jobs, cannot a city be inhabited. And they shall not dwell where they will, nor go up and down. So in other words, they have to remain fixed in place because that's where the work is. That's where this type of work is, right? A carpenter can't move out into the middle of nowhere and sustain his living of building houses. He has to go where people need houses.
Right. And in 33, it's saying, so stick to what you're good at, you know.
Yep. But
They will maintain the state of the world and all their desires in the work of their craft.
right. Now, what are they working to build? And that goes to, I believe it, we haven't touched on it yet. So let's go to 39. Let's go to 39 and, well, basically we have this, starts off contrasting everything it just talked about, those craftsmen, right? But he that gives his mind to the law of the Most High and is occupied in the meditation thereof will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient and to be occupied in prophecies. Now remember, this isn't talking about, the winning lottery numbers are going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 27. No, it's not talking about that garbage. It's talking about where John was told not to worship the angel, and the angel tells him, I am your fellow servant who has the testimony of Jesus Christ, which is the spirit of prophecy. That's what this is talking about. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it almost sounds like Jesus in like 5 and 6.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It does. It almost sounds like a prophetic. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it does. It sounds like it's pointing right to Jesus. I mean, obviously people had the Holy Spirit back before Jesus. I mean, they had something. What would you call that?
I'm distracted. I was reading through
Distracted.
all these wonderful comments today.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right. And so think about all these things, think about if you're thinking about his law and how it works and everything, and you're occupied with all that, and then you tell of what you learned to everybody else.
Yep. It's interesting because this goes into talking about the man who gives his mind to the law of the Most High and is occupied in the meditation thereof. And you're talking about this, it seems like a messianic promise, but then it merges into talking about Yah, our Father, right? And to magnify his name and show forth his praise.
Mm-hmm.
All the works of the Lord are exceeding good. It's like, well, wait, where was that transition?
Also, go ahead, Barb.
It just implies more of a messianic Christ connection there.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to go back up and it sort of kind of picks back up before that. And as we've said, it wasn't Yah who put the numbers in.
Yeah.
It's talking about the workmen's, the skilled, the craftsmen and all that. There's other places in scripture where it talks about the best you can do, the best you should do is to do the work that you are given.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And don't look around you and just focus on what you're given. And that is how life is good.
Yeah. Use the gifts you're given. Mm-hmm.
But it's just also, if we're being busybodies, if we're getting into stuff that we don't need to be involved in, if we're
Right.
looking around, if we're going, oh, I want to do that over there because so and so's doing that over there, and I want to go do this and I want to go do that, and I'm not grateful and not focused on what I've got at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
You're anxious, you're distracted.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that
And you're not getting work done that Abba has for you.
Right.
that goes to exactly what we were talking about a little while ago, in that the world doesn't let you focus on being a man, a husband, being a woman or a wife.
Mm-hmm.
It fills your head with all this other garbage to distract you from that. Now, imagine if you went back to when you were 3 or 4 and had your mind filled with astronauts and being a politician and all this other stuff. If you had just been allowed to focus on whatever you were able to do with your hands, whatever your calling was, right? And then we still have people now that are in their 30s, 40s, 50s. Well, I don't know what I'm going to be when I grow up, right?
It took me years. I'm still struggling, yeah. But I also came out of feminism. I mean, I grew up when that was raging.
I never went into it.
I don't know why.
It's probably a good thing.
But you were affected by it, I bet you.
I don't look good in a man bun.
I don't think anybody looks good in those.
All right. But don't tell that to a samurai.
They're wearing a man bun for a completely different reason.
Babylon bun.
Think about it for a second. Maybe in their religion, that's the same thing as the Nazarite vow in Israel, because they don't. I mean, that's part of their
Could
thing.
be, yeah, that's
Because they're just, it's fashion, which is I'm not even going to get there.
Yeah, let's not go there.
Okay.
where are we at? What do you got? Talk to me.
So I'd like 24 to 26. I mean,
I was going to say 21 to 27 is real good.
okay. You go, Matt.
Yeah, so I like how it's like a man need not to say, what is this? Wherefore is that? For he has made all things for their uses. His blessings covered the dry land as a river and watered it as a flood. As he has turned the waters into saltness, so the heathen inherit his wrath. As his ways are plain unto the holy, so are the stumbling blocks unto the wicked. For the good things are good things created from the beginning, so evil things for sinners. The principal things for the whole use of a man's life are water, fire, iron, salt, flour, of wheat, honey, milk, and the blood of the grape, and oil, and clothing. All these things are good for the righteous, so to the sinners they are turned into evil. Makes me think about like lots of things, like the weather that's going on. That's these huge floods everywhere and that are destroying stuff, and the fires, and it makes me think that those are judgments for the wicked. And when it comes to other places, it's blessings for the righteous.
Well, where is it that it says the rain falls on the righteous and the unrighteous? Right? And the thing is, what are we doing with our mouth, with our mind? Are we praising him and thanking him for it? Or are we murmuring and cursing? I just washed my car, stupid rain. Right?
I don't wash my car.
That you just reminded me of when I spilled that gargantuan strawberry milk in there.
Oh.
You forgot about that, huh? Anyways,
I get frustrated. I cannot cook. I can't even eat without making a mess. Cannot. There's stuff in the floor. There's stuff. And I try my best. And I just sit there and go, I need an apron. I need my dog. I want my dog back. It was my
Beard
back.
aprons.
Well, and when Velcro was here, he used to. I mean, he was my
Help
vacuum
you.
cleaner. He
Yeah.
was my vacuum
Oh
cleaner.
yeah.
That's what I used to say to JR, my poodle. I'd say vacuum, and he'd come running in there and look for the food.
Yes. Where's my vacuum cleaner?
Mhm.
Yep.
Cats aren't very good at that.
Maybe
That's
I
why
need to train my cat to be the
that's why
vacuum
dogs are inside animals.
Hey now. I
That
Maybe I
All
need
right.
to train the cat to be a vacuum cleaner.
was going to say there was a fly in my bedroom yesterday.
so this if we look at that in that same vein, the good things, the thing, the object is neutral.
Mm-hmm.
But to those who are, repentant and seeking Abba through Jesus, they're a blessing, and they're the other way for people that aren't. We're just talking about dogs. I know people, doesn't matter how friendly the dog is, they are terrified of it.
Mhm.
And it's like, well, last time I was up at Matt's, he's like, did she bite you? Asking if his dog bit me. I'm like, no. He says, well, she freaks people out because she's one of these dogs that likes to put your hand in their mouth.
Mhm.
She's
Oh, I
just
remember you. Mouth
seeing
hug.
how big you are.
Okay.
Seeing how big you are, and if you're scared.
Oh, funny.
Yeah. Anyways, it talks about teeth of wild beasts, scorpions, serpents, sword, and the sword of punishing the wicked to destruction, fire and hail and famine, not Hammond, and death. All these were created for vengeance,
Mhm.
right? And vengeance is His,
Mhm.
not ours.
That made me think
Well-
of Egypt, Sodom and Gomorrah.
Oh, that's happening right now.
Now, but look at
Yeah.
31. Look at this, right? They who, all the people that all that stuff's coming upon, they shall rejoice in His commandment, and they shall be ready upon earth when need is, and when their time is come, they shall not transgress His word.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes back to where we started. Let all the nations hear your truth, your law, let them see your magnificence.
It makes me think too of these, like, I know certain people that are fearful of these judgments that it says only come on the wicked, the sinners.
Hail.
Mhm.
Animals, snakes, scorpions, all sorts of stuff. So, it says right here, it's for judgments, for vengeance. So he's
Yeah, I know.
going to protect us
I
from
know.
these things.
Parents that are terrified, you got to put your kid in a plastic inflatable bubble. Don't let anything touch them. As children growing up here in the wild desert with snakes and spiders and other things, pity those poor animals that grow up with a group of kids that find them and make that animal's life a living hell for, I don't care what it is, rattlesnake, tarantula, scorpion, hey, let's pull its stinger off. And then we'll throw it in here with this animal. Let's see if what will win the fight, a black widow or a scorpion. Right? I mean, and parents now are like, they don't give their children any credit. Children know what something dangerous is. Are they going to mess with it? Yeah, they're going to stick their finger in there.
Yeah, they're going to get burned on the stove a couple times and
That's how they learn.
fall down and skin their knees.
Stick their finger in the electrical socket and end up on
Get
the
bit by some animals because they were messing around and
Yep.
fall out of the tree, stub your toe. Come on, let's be kids.
Yep. That's true, Kelly. I agree with that.
Mhm.
Now you need to let them go outside and play in the dirt.
Let's eat
Eat
some
some
mud pies. Get our minerals.
It's interesting though, talking about all this, the good and the bad, or how it's received as good or bad. And 34, 33, all the works of the Lord are good, and he will give
Yeah.
every needful thing in due season.
Very-
34, so that a man cannot say, this is worse than that. For in time they shall all be well approved.
Sorry.
That, well, there's a lot of stuff I've complained about and complain about, past tense and present tense, but if it's all going to be approved by him at some point, and it's not talking about gross, disgusting, vulgar things, everybody, it's talking about the natural things, right? I was just complaining before we started about the earth hardened up because it hadn't been raining and I couldn't pull the weeds without them breaking off. Okay. In due time. Right?
Right.
I was like, here it hasn't rained since April, May, something
Goodness.
like that. We've got you're seeing bottoms of creeks and streams that normally you don't. And I'm very, very careful, and I remind other people who are complaining back in the spring, we're complaining about, oh, it needs to stop raining. I'm like, yeah, when it does, you're going to be complaining because it's not. But you don't accept what we have right now and be grateful. And so, it's been blazing heat. My electric bill was twice what it normally is. And I'm just like, I'm grateful I have electricity. I'm grateful I can pay that bill and not complain. It's his ordained, he's allowed it, and go on.
Amen. Amen.
Okay, let's go to 40. What do you have?
Got 8. Thought 8 was interesting.
Okay.
How it says that it's 7-fold more upon the sinners.
Yeah, it's interesting because it talks about all this uncomfortable stuff. And then it happens to all flesh, both man and beast, which jumped out at me. And that is 7-fold more upon sinners. Now, wait, what else is 7-fold? Right? Whoever kills
Yeah.
Cain, right?
Blessings and cursings.
But also Cain, right? If anybody kills Cain, their curse is going to be 7-fold.
Oh.
What is it? If you steal something, you have to repay it 7-fold?
I don't remember. I know that if you kill someone's ox or something, you have to pay him back 5 oxen.
Okay, maybe if it's theft 5, but that's still a lot.
Yeah, well, shoo. Yeah.
I wanted to go back up to 1.
Okay.
It says the yoke rests on the sons of Adam from the day they come out of the mother's womb until the day they return. So we're all under this curse. And we're all under it. It's our choice on how we live it. What decisions are we going to make that's going to make our burden lighter or heavier?
If you're always trying to pull out of the yoke and twist out of it.
It's interesting. It says that they return to the mother of all things. What does your version say, Matt?
Which,
Verse 1 at the end.
same thing.
Okay. That's kind of interesting phrasing.
Okay, so I maybe have a different view of what that is. So is not the mother where the creation comes from?
So like the earth.
Oh, no, I'm talking about even though our Father created us, that creation itself is sort of kind of a mother, a birthing.
Mother Nature?
No, I don't know. It's in my brain. It's not coming out right. I'm not trying to make our Father mother, and I'm not trying to make the earth Mother Earth.
Right.
I'm saying that mother is a creation type word, and I'm again thinking it's probably a translation thing of it's a concept that they can't.
So basically, you're returning to the beginning.
That's a good, yeah.
Well, I would go with Ecclesiastes, where it talks about when the vessel is broken and when the silver cord is parted, right? The spirit returns
Mm-hmm.
to him who sent it, whereas the body goes back to the earth from which it came.
It could also be a translation thing when, like in different places, we talk about wisdom being her.
Mhm.
It's that translation of the wisdom is not actually a male or female.
Mhm.
It's that, what is that beforehand?
It's
The
prepositional or something.
preposition or whatever it is male
Female
or
side
female.
of the word. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a female form of the word, not necessarily that is what it is. Does that make sense? It's a concept, but it's yeah. Anyway, digging myself a hole.
So, are we talking about pronouns?
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you. I knew it was a P word.
All of them, preposition, pronouns. I don't know. I didn't do well in English when they came to that, so I think it would be a translation thing if they're trying to translate a concept.
So look at Matt was talking about sevenfold of the sinners in 8, and then in 9 and 10 talks about death, bloodshed, strife, sword, calamities, famine, tribulation, and the scourge. Tribulation. These things are created for the wicked, and for their sakes came the flood. Why is everybody worried about tribulation or the great tribulation? If tribulation is created for the wicked.
Exactly. And what are we going to believe it seems like that's one of the last things we're willing to let go of a lot of our teachings that we've come out of the church with. And it seems like that area is one of the last ones that we cannot wrap our brain around, that it could be something else.
Mm-hmm.
Or done a different way. And if we go and look at what the Father said, what his promises are, if we go back and look at that, then it changes our viewpoint of what tribulation is and what's going to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was struck by 15, where the children of the ungodly will not put forth many branches.
Okay. What did that make you think of when we were reading that?
It's what reminds me of the curse of the sins of the father will be visited unto the third, even the fourth generation. And when you have people that have generational dysfunction, generational sin, it's really hard to break out of that. And so, go ahead.
It made me think of all the talk you hear about the 13 bloodlines and families that have been in power for centuries, and they're not godly. You hear people talk about that. Well, I think here we have sort of a reference to that, right? They keep in. What was it? I was just talking with Matt recently about the Habsburgs, how all the royal families in Europe started inbreeding, and it got to the point where they started getting the birth defects from inbreeding so much.
Same thing is happening in the Amish community.
They're the Habsburgs? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
They're
same
the
thing
royal
happening.
families of Europe?
You know what it made me think of is they're not going to bring forth many children.
You're my sister. Okay, anyways.
Let's not go there.
Some of them, you know, in the South, my second cousin's not that far off.
Well, you know, it's funny because when you go into the South, you start, you know, everyone's like, oh, that's my cousin. Oh, no, that's my second cousin. That's everywhere in the world. No, you get into the South, that's my first cousin twice removed. First cousin twice. No, now that's my second cousin removed twice, and we're getting married.
No, I'm just talking about straight second cousin. We ain't doing none of this removed stuff. It's just right down the family line.
Right on the family, right on the border.
It's not from experience, I promise.
Okay.
But what would be interesting though, like GR and I found out just here, like in this less than a year, that we're related because both of our families come from this area. So you get families that have been in a single area in small rural areas have been here for hundreds of years. Mm-hmm. You're all related first and foremost. Yeah. But you could end up seriously. You could end up marrying a close cousin and a close relative,
not even knowing it.
Yeah.
Huh.
Don't shake your head at me, Matt.
All right. Then we go back to the comparison verses in here. So, is there anything that's jumping out at you in that from like 17 on?
Yeah, 18.
Okay.
Yeah, if you just what do you think the treasure is that we're talking about here? I mean, be content with what you do, and if it's like before, it says use your gifts and skills to have to make your living. Be happy with that. So what's the treasure? I mean, maybe it's different for everybody. I don't know.
No, I think it goes back to what it was talking about with, you know, all the stuff that's neutral in creation. You know, some people see it as bad. Some people see it as a blessing. And, you know, what is it? One man's trash is another man's treasure. So it could be anything. If it's a blessing.
Yes.
Yeah. Quite interesting. Okay, I don't have anything else. If you got something else, let me know.
I thought 23 was interesting. A friend and a companion never meet amiss, but above both is a woman with her man. Sounds like it's saying that a wife and husband can, it's better than friendship, with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mine says it's a little bit different, Matt. A friend and a comrade meet opportunely, but a wife with her husband is better than both of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I can see where it does say that.
Yep.
I liked how, too, in 26, it's, there is no want in the fear of Yahuwah, and it needs not to seek help. The fear of Yahuwah is a fruitful garden and covers him above all glory.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. And that goes back to what we were covering in the beginning, the person that seeks him first in all things, mm-hmm. and meditates on him all day, that person is going to be much better off. Okay.
And a thought on that too. even though there are many of us that are single that are seeking spouses, in some ways you sit there and go, maybe not. Am I going to lose? Am I going to lose that opportunity that I have with my father? That relationship, is that going to interfere with that? Where I do have the opportunity to meet with him anytime, any day, all day long. My thoughts are not distracted.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And Paul even goes into discussing that. I would wish that everybody was like me, so as to be able to have that full relationship. This is paraphrased. Because when you're married, your mind has to be on that.
Mm-hmm.
Has to be on making it work, has to be on communicating, has to be on whatever. You hear people say it's 50-50. No, it isn't. Marriage is 100%, 100%. And if you both are like-minded in subjecting to our Heavenly Father in Jesus Yeshua, then it makes it a whole mess easier. But it can still be a mess. Yeah, it can be. I mean, it's just the way it is.
Yes, it can be.
Okay. Well, everybody, thanks for coming. Dee, thank you for reading. Lynn, thanks. Matt, thanks. Like, share, subscribe.
Matt?
Hit the little bell icon somewhere over here.
Look, he has a new one.
Yeah.
I know. He's ringing the bell from beneath now.
Well, that's how bells should be rung. Ding, 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 ding.
Right? No. Okay.
Maybe we need to get one of those bells and just ring it at the end.
Oh,
As soon as I find my little brass bell, I'll send it to you, Matt.
That. All right. So, everybody, thanks for joining us. This has helped. Seriously, though, please share it and subscribe. For those we haven't seen in a while, welcome back. Welcome back, Connor. Nat. Otherwise, have a beautiful rest of your day of rest, and we will talk to you all in the near future. Love you.
Bye.
Bye.